Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin. I am from SOVA Digital, and I would like to tell you some more details about a solution which we have developed in the Danube project, and we called it the Danube Digital Readiness Analysis. First, what this solution is about. This is the first step for the digitalization of a company, especially oriented towards small and medium companies. This is an analysis which is performed inside the company, where we are analyzing the current state of digitalization, bottlenecks or weak points, and opportunities for improvement. What is important is that it is prepared individually for each company because each company has a different type of problems or challenges. What is evaluated? During the survey, we are evaluating how the processes are working, but only from the point of digitalization. We are not evaluating, of course, whether the processes are working well or not, as that would take much more time. The DRA is mainly a helicopter view of the current status of digitalization in the company. Then we are discussing with people how they are involved in the digitalization process. We are also evaluating current technologies such as CRM, ERP, CAD, and all systems which are used in the company, and we are discussing the technology infrastructure and so on. So this is the analytical part. What the company can get from this is, first, a clear view of its current digital maturity. The second is the identification of weaknesses, opportunities, or challenges. The third one is a roadmap, which is part of the report, along with recommendations. At the end, I will also show some examples of reports. We are trying to be very user-friendly. So, as a helicopter view, we created a map of current processes and how they are digitalized. From the top down, there are processes from communication with the customer, proposals, pre-processing stages, and so on. At the right side are supporting processes, like for example for a proposal, there is some document management and calculations. By color, we are trying to tell how this process is currently digitalized, so it is a fair view for the company. How do we process this? First, we must agree with the customer that they need it or want it. The second is execution. The third is AI-based processing. It is necessary after the AI processing to make some adjustments by people. And finally, we are presenting the report to the customer. Because we are trying to use this tool as a business development tool also, the next step is an agreement with the customer about the next steps. If you want, we are able to continue to solve some specific areas, and if not, that is also fine. So the agreement with the customer is about telling them that it is not a 10-minute process because we have a lot of questions. The typical duration, depending on the size of the company, is sometimes between 3 and 4 hours. So it is very important to reserve enough time for this. The second is execution. We have made it possible for this to be done online and alone by the customer. But our experience shows this is not a very good approach because some questions are open questions. And if a consultant is not available, it is sometimes very hard to understand the question. Of course, if you have no clear question, there is a problematic answer. So we prefer a guided interview with a consultant. The questionnaire covers 5 topics. There is basic company information, currently used applications, the level of digitalization, and also important are internal priorities. AI is evaluating these priorities as well if they are commented on. If not, we will provide solutions for digitalization alone, but if the consultant pushes some priorities, the AI will prefer those priorities. We have a landing page, and we have developed this tool in several languages: Slovak, Hungarian, and Serbian. We do not have it in English, not because we do not like English, but because it is preferred to provide the survey in the local language. It is our experience that the local language is the best. So this is a screenshot of the landing page, and this is the online questionnaire. This is a screenshot of the landing page. This is the online questionnaire. So this is an example from Hungarian. We have about 100 questions for all the processes which are in companies. Of course, some are not relevant. If they are not relevant, they are skipped. But if a process is relevant, they are marking it with a ranking score from 1 to 5. After finishing, the AI is processing the outputs or helping to prepare the output because, as I said, it is very necessary to review the output by consultants. This is a multi-pass evaluation. In the first pass, AI will check the answers and will provide an analysis of the current status. In the second pass, AI is reading what has been created, meaning the analysis, and is combining this analysis with a search on the internet and also with the priorities which are described in the questionnaire. And the third pass is again revising all the information, meaning the analysis and solution, and in this third pass, it is preparing a proposal for a roadmap, benefits and risks, and a list of abbreviations. So as I said, it is very necessary to check the output from this aspect, because sometimes you must use less technical language and sometimes more technical language, so it is necessary to adjust the outputs. Of course, it is possible to send this as it is, but our experience shows that it is very good to have it reviewed by a specialist. After preparing the output, we agree on an online or on-site presentation with the client, and we are trying to explain what is described in the document. As I said, it is always prepared individually. So we have very good feedback from the customers, and maybe 50% of them are continuing with us on some specific topics, so it is for us like a lead development tool also. I have some examples of output. So this is a document which is a real output from this analysis. Only the name of the company has been changed to SMESKSK.RO. So after the start, this is the analytical part, where they are evaluating the current IT infrastructure, sales, and project management, which are the main processes. The next one is the process map, and there are some recommendations for digitalization. So, as you can see, there are real recommendations for the customer. It is the automation of quotations, management of sales activities, automated monitoring of CNC machines, reducing the total number of CAD systems, and creating a digital transformation plan. So, these recommendations are absolutely different for each company, and this is very appreciated by the companies. This is a list of abbreviations. There is a list of applications which are used. It is 100% prepared by AI, the text, so it is not necessary to build this part. And then there is some analysis of the systems. And then there is an analysis of each main process. So, for example, IT infrastructure and so on. And there is a summary at the end. And each main process has a similar analysis. For example, sales and so on. I will go down to the solution. There are the process maps. It is small, but just for illustration of how the processes are digitalized. And then there are some practical recommendations for digitalization. So we have used a structure. The problem, which exactly describes the situation of the customer. Then the solution, what we propose. So this is again exact recommendations, the benefits, and an example from our business. So this is what we have prepared. And as I said, 95% is generated by AI, but we must correct the output. Unfortunately, we are not able to train AI by prompt engineering with 100% success.